How's it going? Welcome to the You Can Mentor podcast. Zach Garza here with my friend Michael Morgan. Michael, say hello.
Hi, how's everybody doing? And thank you, Zachary, for allowing me to be on the podcast. I'm really excited about it.
Man, I'm excited too. Michael is the founder and he's in charge of A Few Good Mentors Inc., which is in the Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. I'm super excited to have him on our podcast today just to talk about all that they're up to and talk about how to mentor better. So,
Yes.
how's it going today, Michael?
Everything's going well. It's nice and sunny so far here on the East Coast, so that's always good because we've had a pretty bad winter. But I'm doing great, doing really good.
That's awesome. I got connected to Michael. I don't really remember how, but I have been in touch with him now for a couple months, and
Yeah.
one of my favorite things is he is a retired FBI surveillance expert. So you are the first former FBI agent on our podcast, Michael. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Hopefully, I'm not the last, right? So, but yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So whenever I think of someone who is in the FBI, I mean, I think that they're like a ninja, they've got guns everywhere, and I have no idea how that came into my head, but tell us what you did with the FBI.
Okay, absolutely. So I am probably the furthest away from like a ninja that you can think about, but I am more of a technical person and a people person. So I think both things did me really well in my 36 years in the FBI. Like you said, I'm a surveillance or was a surveillance expert, meaning I'm one of the people that go around, me and my team of following individuals who were under investigation for the FBI. Did that for a lot of years. Then I managed the program and the training and that got more into leadership and supervision, which kind of really led me to mentoring, in a way. And so but yeah, that's what I did for a long time. And I'm still in contact with quite a few good friends in the FBI.
Yeah, so tell us how you went from FBI surveillance man to youth mentoring. Tell us about that.
Yeah, on the surface, it might seem like a strange route to take, but my two kids, Michael and Bria, I've always coached their sports teams, even when I was working for the FBI. So it was just a natural progression for me because I cared more about the kids in general rather than winning the game. Although we wanted to win, don't get me wrong, we did want to win the game, but I did care more about the kids and their upbringing and their faith and how they were doing in school. And I found myself doing more mentoring than anything rather than coaching. And so after my kids graduated high school, I had devoted more time to mentoring. I volunteered with Big Brother, Big Sister for a number of years, like 5 or 6 years. And that's when, you have that revelation, right? You know that God is telling you this is what you should be doing. And so I had that moment, and it was with Big Brother, Big Sister. I remember the director told me, "Hey, Mr. Morgan, we want to give you like 3 boys to mentor." And I was like, "No, that's not going to happen because I don't have the time for that." But what she did tell me was that there's a need for men. There's a need for male mentors in our area, and that's when I decided, well, why not just focus on mentoring boys since this is such a need in our community? And I realized it as well that this was a need. And that's what kind of led me there. But I had already started developing professional mentoring within the FBI and even to this day, I have people who still come to me for advice on career advice, adults. And so this is really what I'm meant to do. I thank God for the FBI because it gave me an opportunity. to lead and mentor and train and teach and all of those skills that's needed if you're going to run an organization like a few good mentors. I feel like the FBI was preparing me for a few good mentors, not the other way around.
That's awesome, Michael. Absolutely love that story. So, whenever you think of mentoring, tell me what you think of, and what were the things that these young men in your community needed that you think that mentoring is the answer to?
Wow, those are two excellent, excellent questions, Zachary. And when I think about mentoring, I think about um, succession planning. I know a lot of people don't think about it like that, but that's what I think about because as a leader in the FBI, as a leader in my community, I I have to be willing to find that next person to take my place. And I have to prepare those people to take my place. And so part of mentoring is preparing that next generation through the life experiences that you've gone through. You give that back to the next generation, but don't hold on to it. I used to always tell people that, hey, as a leader, day one, soon as you're selected as a leader, next thing you know, you got to go try to find that next person that you can mentor because you have to keep this going. And so I know in our community today, there's a lack of men who are either in the home. There's a lot fatherlessness. It's a big issue right now in our society. I think that that's where we come in to help in that area to be that male figure for a lot of boys in our area. But in general, even if you're a female and you're mentoring, just having somebody who you could talk to, who's trustworthy, who's consistent, that's cares about you as an individual is what mentorship is, and that's what's needed today in our community.
And if I am not mistaken, A Few Good Mentors Inc., you guys are in 4 or 5 different locations. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so we're in the entire DC area, which is Maryland, DC, and primarily Northern Virginia. We also have a chapter down in the Norfolk or Hampton. They call it the Hampton Roads area of Virginia, and Atlanta, Georgia. The beauty of my past career is that I taught and trained nationwide, so I have a lot of connections all over the country. And so, one great thing about the FBI is like it's a worldwide organization, and so again, prepared me for a few good mentors because I kind of modeled organizationally after their nationwide presence. And so we kind of use the same concept. So it's really easy for me to scale a few good mentors because it's just something that I'm accustomed to and just training in a variety of cities.
That's awesome, Michael. And I really relate to what you said about succession planning. And I think to have that mindset, right? It's a totally different mindset than
Yeah.
what you are accustomed to having. Because I feel like for me, at least, my initial perspective is, how can I hold on to what's mine? How can I protect myself? How can I make sure that I'm going to have a
Yes.
job, or I'm going to have a career, or I'm going to get paid?
Yeah.
And I think succession planning, I think mentoring, I think raising up someone to take your spot, giving away responsibility, all of those things requires an immense amount of faith,
Yes.
because you're saying, God, what what you have entrusted me with, I am actually going to train someone up to do what you've called me to do. But I trust that you're going to give me the next step whenever you're good and ready. So in in some ways, like, I fully agree with you. And if you're running a mentoring not for profit, or if you're in a mentoring ministry or anything, I agree. We all should be finding someone to take our place.
Yes.
And then we all should be asking God for more and more faith to trust that if we raise someone up, then He's going to take care of us and show us what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit it right on the head is that it kind of goes against our society, right? Like we're taught to kind of hang on to our position, hang on to our role, hang on to whatever we've been given. And so my philosophy is just the opposite. It's no, we're gonna give it away. We're just gonna give what God has taught us and what God has given us and provided us, and we're gonna plan to raise up the next generation. And so um, it's a hard concept for some people to understand, but for us, if you're a person of faith, I think it's easy because, like you said, it's really all about just trusting. Just trust and just say, uh, I'm just trusting God. That's what I do every day because there's plenty of days, Zachary, where you wake up, and I'm sure you felt the same way, where you said, I don't know if I can, if I can do this, right? And that's when your faith has to kick in, and that's when you get an email or a call from a mom or a mentor or board member, and that encouragement gets you going again, gets you fired up, and so uh, it's those conversations, it's those letters, it's those emails that carry you through when you're doing something like this. And that's when you realize, okay, it's not about me. It's not about Michael Morgan. This is about the community. It's about the next generation and having a positive impact on the next generation.
It reminds me of faithful with the little, master over much.
Yes.
Um, it reminds me of the parable of the talents, right? Like
Yeah.
the servant who took what he had and buried it out of fear. I mean, the Lord called him wicked,
Yeah.
but the one who took what he was given and 10x it, right? And so, man, may we continue to invest and may we continue to delegate and raise up the next generation. Which, I mean, if that's not mentoring, then I don't know what is. Uh,
Absolutely.
all right, Michael, let's talk a few good mentors. Your values. It's called Shields. Talk to us about Shields, my man.
Yeah. So Shields really comes from, putting that full armor of God on, you know what I mean? And so and that's kind of where it came from, basically. And I had a different acronym for our core values previously, but Shields just came to me and it really spoke to what we do. And it really stands for the S is for spirituality, the H is for health, both mental and physical health. The I is for integrity, the E is for education, L is for leadership, D is for development. So we're talking about developing yourself and developing those around you. And then S is for stewardship and being a good stewardship of finances, the environment, and everything else around you. It was geared more towards the financial part, but because that's such a need in most communities, is being a good steward of your finances and tithing and understanding those concepts. But that's what Shields is all about, and we are all in on Shields. That has become like our mantra of, this is what AFGM is. And so, everybody has really taken to it within our organization and outside the organization. I'm planning to put together something for the young men. So after you complete a year, we want to have a big celebration. And I wanted to give them something like a shield as an item. So haven't done that yet, but that's gonna be next year when we do that. Although we've been around for 5 years, but this is our first year rolling out Shields. That's our official acronym core values.
So, whenever it comes to recruiting mentors, specifically male mentors, I don't think I've ever met anyone who's like, "Oh man, we've got more male mentors than we know what to do with." Right? So,
Yes.
so, so Tell me how you go about recruiting male mentors. What are some of the obstacles? What are some of the things that you have seen that have worked, that haven't worked? How do you do it?
I tell you what, Zachary, I've worked some of the hardest criminals in the country. Nothing is more difficult than recruiting male mentors. Like male mentors is like the height of the raising my kids is was easier than recruiting male mentors. It's just something that we as men are just not we have to get comfortable volunteering and serving a little bit more. So it is a hurdle, but that's the fun part too, is like because I know that's the challenge that and I like a challenge. And so what we do is we start with our faith and we go to churches because if you go to church and you serve, then you understand service. So those are the people and we're comfortable and within the faith-based community. So that's where we start with. That's where we get a good portion of our men. Next is military, even though I never served in the military, and God bless all the folks out there who have served. My brother is a former Navy officer, but they understand service. So once again, I have a law enforcement background, firemen and police officers. They understand service. So I go after the folks who understand service first, and then we spread out from there. We're still always working from kind of a deficit in a way when it comes to trying to it's a constant battle of of finding enough mentors and mentees and balancing that is always a challenge and you're always working kind of from behind when you're trying to recruit male mentors but I think we have a good plan in place. I think uh, we're going after that core audience that understands service. And so they get it. It's just they have to now, all we require is 1 hour per week. And if that means turning off the television, if that means not watching all of the football game on Sunday, if that requires adjusting your schedule a little bit, think about the impact you can make just by giving up 1 to 2 hours per week. That's it, and that's kind of how we sell it for the men out there. Is that if you go to any church, you probably see more women uh, serving. You probably do, but we can change that. We can change that, and we are on our way to doing that. And so we had a bowling event. It was kind of co-sponsored with my church over the weekend. 80 men showed up for this event. And so, we can bring them out. We can get them. And if that means a little friendly competition just to get them in the door, and then we just talk about mentoring and other things. And so, but we're working hard to get them and to understand, what is it exactly that's holding you back.
In all of my years talking about recruiting specifically male mentors, I've never heard of go to the ones who understand service. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's really worked for us. And you stick to what God's given you and what you know. I know law enforcement. I know service. I know church. So I'm sticking with that. And so, and from there, we hope that the men um, tell other friends of theirs about a few good mentors, and a lot of it is word of mouth.
Yeah. So tell me, tell me how, or what are some of the words, what are some of the questions that you use to persuade these men to get into the mentoring game?
One of the things I always do is because I love statistics, Zachary. So I always tell them, okay, look, you know, 59% of households are single family households. You know, what that means for you, let's say you're a business owner, that the potential that one of these young men might come into your store, may come into your place of business and possibly commit a crime or anything like that. That's a realistic possibility. You could be you could prevent that, you know. So I kind of paint a scenario that we are proactively helping our community because hey, I was one of those people, and so one of the stories I tell them is that I was arrested at 12 years old, you know, and if it wasn't for my father telling me, he said, Michael, you're a good kid. And then he put things in place for me. My next door neighbor, Chucky, was a former Marine, and he would watch over all the kids on the street. I had my uncle, I had, my coaches, and we had all these people who would not let me feel. The police chief in my local town right outside of Cleveland, Ohio, was really instrumental. They knew I wasn't a bad kid, and so, but it was they turned me around, which led me to really respect law enforcement. So I tell them stories about my own life and what mentoring has done for me personally. Going to an all boys high school and, the structure that was there. Same thing with a few good mentors. We like structure. We like, boys need that. Don't let them fool you. They may not want it, but they need structure. And so, but I talk about my life and I talk about what mentoring's done for me. And so we can all relate to um, either A, not having a male figure who really is committed to seeing you grow, or B, you've had that person in your life. So either way, you can relate to my life story very easily.
I always like to ask the question, right? Like, who's the most important person in your life? Or all of us are here because of someone. Who is that someone? And try to get them to reflect upon, hey, like, all of us are here because of a certain, whether it's your mom and dad, whether it's your aunt, uncle, next door neighbor, coach, teacher, pastor, and just be, hey, you know that there's kids out there who don't have anyone, and you can be that person.
Yes,
Uh,
absolutely, absolutely.
Back in the day, right, like, if a potential mentor has kids, then I'm like, hey, like, if you can invest into the kids who are going to hang out with your kids. If a guy has a daughter, and say,
Yeah,
you can invest into the guy who might be asking out, who might be asking out your daughter. Like,
that's a that's a good point.
that was a good
Yeah,
one for me. They're like, what? I was like, yeah, yeah, man. So,
yeah.
so, so, tell me how do you keep these mentors inspired? How do you create a program that is sustainable, that is engaging, um, and that has just a bunch of mentors who are investing into the next generation?
Yeah, yeah. Another good question. And it is difficult. I'm not going to lie to you about that. One of the things that I do is the men are always seeking training and they're always seeking that. So, fortunately, I'm a trainer. So, I'm always looking for things to train them on. I may take a concept like I have a weekly newsletter called Grow, which stands for Guidance Redefines Our Way. And I usually take portions of that and I turn that into like a 1 hour training session. And so, what we've also done is been more proactive in engaging with the mentors. So, we rotate each month. 1 month, we'll do like a mentor mentee meetup either at one of our houses or a community center or something like that. Then the next month, we do just mentor meeting. But it's not me telling you, hey, how many times you met with your mentee? Why haven't you done that? No, this is more like, okay, what's going on with you? How are you doing? How's your wife? How's your kids? How's work? And we sit around and we talk about our lives and we pour into them just like we would at a men's ministry gathering. But we do talk about mentoring too, don't get me wrong. But what they want to know, what they want to see is that personal touch that just like with the mentees, our mentors care about the mentees. I care about those mentors. And so I consider my job is to be the mentor to my mentors. And so I have to pour into them and I have to suggest books for them to read. And I'm constantly like, hey, take a look at You Can Mentor podcast. That's a great podcast. There's great
Yes.
information there.
Yes, it is. My mom says so. So my mom's probably
Exactly.
listening right now. But
Right. But yeah, just keep providing them with material and things to help them grow. And so it just works downhill from there.
man, I don't know. I don't I don't know much, Michael, but you look like a man who is a wizard on PowerPoint. You just look like you could whip up a training, like like just like a master PowerPoint maker, presenter. I bet you've got the like light with the buttons and all of like the clickers. You've got the animations going.
I play with it all the time, even when I'm at home.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Oh man. So tell me what you're seeing out there in regards to our kids. Like what have what are some things that have changed? What are some things that, might um might be like a new area of focus, a new area like, oh man, I haven't seen that before, right? Is there
yeah.
anything like that with our kids out there?
A couple of things that kind of have blown my mind is since COVID is the lack of interpersonal skills, meaning communication skills among young people, is really lacking. Like we really have to encourage our young people to put the phone down, put the video game down, and let's talk. Um, and that requires our mentors to do the same thing. But I've seen that lack of really skill or communication skills and critical thinking skills. Another thing that I've noticed is really the the depression and height of mental um, mental health in a way, or suicide, even among young people, has really risen, especially since COVID. And although we're not trained to handle that, I always tell the mentors we really, really, really have to be aware of the signs, and we have to really get to know our young men and even our mentors too, because even adult men have that statistic has even risen. So I have seen that mental health piece is so important today that I didn't necessarily see like maybe 10 or 15 years ago. It has really grown. And another thing that I've really seen among our young people, especially, is at least in the DC area, is the not going to school, just cutting class. And I don't know if it's like that in your area, but that has really grown in Virginia and Maryland and DC, where they are just um, not going to class. And so we have to make education, yes, it's a requirement, but it's also we gotta make it fun somehow, and they say, as a if you have a mentor, you're more likely to finish high school. That's a statistic that's out there, and because now somebody is invested in you, and so they care about what you're studying. They care about you as a person. So I have noticed that a lot of kids are just not taking school and education that seriously.
I'm a former teacher, right? I was a teacher for like a decade. And one of the one of the worst feelings as a teacher is when you like get onto a kid, maybe they were cutting class, maybe they were acting a fool or not doing their homework. Hold on, I'm gonna call your mom.
Yeah,
I don't care. Okay. I'm gonna call your dad. I don't care. Like, well, there's nothing I can do here. Like,
yeah,
you're right. Like, if there isn't anyone asking, hey, how's it going in
right.
school? How are your grades? How's this going? How's that going? Then what incentive does a kid have to fulfill their
Yes,
potential? Right.
absolutely,
And so,
absolutely.
and Michael, I was thinking about you, like, kids don't just need one mentor. Like, you know, you're so fortunate to have your dad and your next door neighbor and your uncle and you had all these men, and
Yeah,
even still with all those men, it's hard, right?
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
man, how? how much more important is it for our kids to have not just one man in their life, but to surround them with a community of men, right? So that they can pick up this, maybe they learn how to talk from Mr. Morgan, but they learn how to study from John, and they learn how to work hard from Tommy, and da da da. So, man, it just it is not good for man to be alone. And according,
No, no, absolutely not.
so kudos to kudos kudos to what you guys are up to, and yeah, man, it's just awesome. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh
thank you.
yeah, so this will be my last question. But if a guy came up to you today and said, "Hey man, I'm thinking about becoming a mentor. I don't know, it sounds hard. I don't know if I can make a difference. What happens whenever I get discouraged?" Tell me how you'd answer.
Yeah, and again, that's another great question, and I've actually experienced this, and so what I say, because I said number one, you're not alone. You're gonna feel like that because the young men that you're mentoring don't necessarily realize or understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. The payoff you're not gonna see, but you may not see right away, but 10, 15 years from now, they're going to remember what you taught them. And what I tell them is when you feel discouraged, when you feel down, when you feel like you're not breaking through with your mentee, is that's when your faith has to kick in. And that's when you have to go back and pray and ask the Lord for guidance because what we're doing here, you're not going to see the result. And I've worked investigations in the FBI where I've done things where I don't know where this outcome is gonna go, but I'm gonna stick to my training. I'm gonna stick to what God's provided and told me to do, and I'm gonna do it. And I use that same analogy with a few good mentors, is that that's where our faith has to kick in because the enemy doesn't want you to be successful. He wants you to quit. He wants you to lose patience. He wants you to feel down. He wants you to say, "This, what are you doing, Mike? Wouldn't you rather go see the football game rather than hang out with this kid?" You're gonna get that. That means you're on the right track, and that means you have to dig in a little deeper. And as a man, you've gotta fight through that. And it's just the same thing with your own kids. Just my own kids. I mean, sometimes I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm getting through to them. And then a light bulb clicks and you overhear a conversation or they relay something to another friend that you taught them. And then that's when you realize, like, had I given up, then where would they be? You know what I mean? And so having that faith to persevere, to keep fighting, is that's what we need out of our society. And I'm telling you, when a young man sees that no matter what, you're going to be there, it changes everything. I had one mentee come up to me. He said, "Mr. Morgan, how much do you pay the mentor?" And I said, "Well, I wish I could give them $1 million, but I don't have that. So, but I paid them absolutely nothing." And so and he could not wrap his mind around this, Zachary. He could not understand for the life of him why someone would do this for free. But it changed his life. He was like, "Wow, you mean he's spending time with me because he's just because he wants to?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do." And I said, one day you're going to do the same thing for someone. And so that's why we do it. That's the payoff right there because now we've impacted an entire generation because he's going to be a mentor one day, I guarantee you. And then maybe his kids or maybe some other kid that he mentors. So now we've impacted so many different lives just because we did not quit. we dug in deep and we kept fighting through. And that's what we had to do.
Kind of sounds like Jesus. I
Yeah,
mean, every day we give him multiple opportunities to quit on us, and
exactly.
but he never does. And he's not sitting up there, you know, with his calculator trying to add up all the good things that we have done. He's not, you know, expecting us to take what he's, da, da, da. It's like no, he just shows up and loves us, and he's there for us,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
that is the story of the gospel. That is the good news, my man. But
That is. It truly is.
yeah. Um, all right, I got a couple more questions for you. Okay. Now
Okay.
you just the first question you have to say yes or no. Okay.
Okay.
Have
All
you
right.
been on a stakeout in an unmarked van overnight before?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I knew it. I knew it. Oh, okay, 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 yeah. Okay. What tell me what you ate. That's all I want to know. Was it a cheese like I mean, in in my mind, I'm like, this guy's eating a cheesesteak. He's got a big drink. He's wearing like a hoodie. He's got the seat kind of leaned back. You're for sure wearing some sunglasses. I mean, come on, man. You gotta tell me.
Well, I will tell you this. Donuts and coffee are really good. They are really, really good.
My man. I love it. I love it.
They go
Oh,
together.
yes.
I love both of them. Uh, but yeah, but you know what? The funny thing, somebody just asked me that question a few weeks ago. And I told them when I was younger, I ate horrible. But as I got older, I realized I got to take care of myself. And
Yeah.
so I definitely ate a little bit better as I got older. But yeah, you are absolutely correct. Cheesesteaks, donuts, coffee, all of
Oh,
that.
man.
Love it all.
No, I picked the wrong profession. All right. Michael Morgan from A Few Good Mentors, AFG. Tell people how they can find you, how they can learn more about you guys and all of the awesome work that you guys are up to.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, you can reach us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram. If you just type in at AFGM, you'll be able to find us on those platforms. If you want to find us on at our website, it's a little bit long, but very easy to remember. www.afgmentoring.org www.afgmentoring.org, and you will find us there. And we would love to connect with more people. And we are going to continue. We're not going to quit. There's no quit in us. So we're going to keep fighting through.
It's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom and for your stories, Mr. Morgan. Very grateful for you. To all of our listeners out there, remember you can mentor. You guys have a good day.